Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cryptic Humility. Today, I'm here with our friend Jon, who's going to be teaching about his new business venture, opening up the door to crypto debit cards. And we have a whole presentation today where Jon is going to be implementing and showing us how this process works. Very excited to have you on, Jon. Before we get into that, I wanted to open the floor to have you introduce yourself, talk about your background in crypto, and kind of how we got to this idea today. So feel free, the floor is yours.
Oh boy, well, yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's a real treat, and I'm happy to be on your podcast and happy to get to know you. As for me, I had a long career in traditional finance. I worked for a number of startups, a number of online broker-dealers in the clearing space, which is very much the underbelly of Wall Street, the financial plumbing. This is all in traditional finance. In hindsight, what I was doing for most of my career was product management, although we didn't really call it at the time. I found myself at the interface between the business side and the technology side, as whatever business I was in, I was trying to continue to grow and evolve and put out new products. I spent a long time at a company called Daytech Online, which isn't here anymore because it got bought by Ameritrade before it became TD Ameritrade. And I don't think TD Ameritrade is here either. They got bought by Charles Schwab. But for a while, and I'm not a young man, this goes back almost ancient history, but for a while, Daytech Online was the number 4 broker-dealer for NASDAQ trading volume. It was quite a significant firm. It was really one of the firms that broke open the old stockbroker model of charging high commissions and not giving very good service to customers who wanted to buy stock. So that's really where my career started. In the back office, middle office, spent a lot of time working on margin systems and margin trading. The theme of all of that is that I was always in companies that were kind of on the cutting edge and kind of trying to do something new and break the mold and the regular pattern of how it's always been done. And I found that was always a lot of fun. And then I started hearing about crypto, and that was very much in the same spirit of what my career had been up to that point, of trying to do things a bit differently, not taking things for granted, and really creating a new way of doing things. So I looked around the crypto space, tried to learn as much as I could. For example, I sat through the course that was available via the MIT OpenCourseWare network, taught by Gary Gensler, which is a really good course. And this is before he became SEC chairman. And I swear to God, you would never guess he had such a dim view about the crypto industry from this course. That's, I think, still available via the MIT OCW, which I recommend, by the way. So anyway, I got a job at BlockFi, which is one of those notorious firms that isn't here anymore, although not as notorious as some other firms. And then I got a job at Kraken, and that's really where I got my legs in the crypto space, to get a sense of how a crypto exchange works and how it relates and pertains to the functions that traditional finance has been doing for over 100 years. And now crypto is trying to do it better, but still, at the end of the day, though, a lot of the functions of what's going on are pretty much are very similar. That brings us here to what we want to talk about in this podcast. When I was at Kraken, I would oftentimes ask my coworkers in social events at the bar after work. A question I would ask is, so how much of your money is in crypto? And a lot of people, it's like 20% or 40% or 50%. Some of the people at Kraken, they would say 95%. And I would fall off my chair.
Right.
And usually these are guys, they're younger guys or girls, no family, but they've decided that that's the future and they're rolling the big dice. And so far, so good, frankly, and they're probably right. But then why isn't it 100% for people like that have such a firm conviction? And the answer is that you still got to use fiat cash to live in the real world. You still have to pay for your groceries. You still have to pay for rent. You want to buy a cup of coffee, and you really can't use crypto for that. So as a result, you need fiat in your portfolio. And the problem with fiat, which most of us don't really pay attention to, but the people in the crypto world certainly are aware of it, is that it almost by design, it is a wasting asset. It's an asset of diminishing returns. by the power of inflation. And if you're at all familiar with economic history or financial history, and you read about the state of the world 50 years ago or 100 years ago, and the price levels and the value of a dollar compared to today, it's mind-boggling. And why is that okay? It's really not. So that's what gets me really excited about crypto, that here's an alternative that can live up to what money is supposed to be, a store of value, not a cheap trick to steal value. But here we are. And you still have to have some fiat in your portfolio to pay for your groceries and buy your cups of coffee. And you probably had no idea I could be so long-winded, did you, Vanessa, when you invited me to this podcast?
Oh, no, like, I think you're doing wonderful. I'm taking in everything that you've been saying too, because some of the stuff that you're talking to me about is new from the last time that we talked. So really just wanted to give you the space to keep sharing if there's anything else too before we begin.
Okay, all right. Well, to get to your point, all of that speaks to the product that we're trying to do at 3F Payments, which is a crypto debit card that lets a client spend their crypto like cash. 3F Payments Incorporated is the name of our company. We're a pre-seed startup. 3F was chosen because it stands for freedom from fiat. And our corporate website is freedomfromfiat.com. So check it out.
They definitely will. All your resources will be listed below in the podcast details. And for everybody that's listening, as John's going through this, I will do my best to ask questions for the audience to make sure that the idea you understand in depth.
The product that 3F Payments at Freedom from Fiat offers is a crypto debit card, which is by itself nothing new, because there's plenty of crypto debit cards. And there's plenty of crypto debit cards offered by firms that are very well established with thousands and thousands and millions of customers. So what's so special about our crypto debit card, and why do we think this is even worth talking about? The problem in spending crypto, one of the biggest problems in spending crypto and converting crypto to fiat currency via a debit card that uses traditional finance payment rails, is that every time you sell your crypto, that's a taxable event. And this is a real world, and they say that the only thing that's constant is death and taxes, and you're going to be paying your taxes. And if you ignore that and you spend your crypto the way you might otherwise want, you're going to have a hell of a time at the end of the year with a lot of bookkeeping and a lot of potential for error. And let me tell you, the IRS will not be forgiving.
Especially not in crypto, since crypto is such a, we're just reaching regulation in crypto. So absolutely, they're definitely going to be a lot harder in regards to what you're recording and tracking. So, but yeah, keep going.
So the whole premise of the Crypto Freedom Debit Card, which is the working title for it now, is that it's a debit card that lets you spend your crypto as easily as you would your fiat or the dollars in your wallet. And it has integrated tax optimization functionality that selects the purchase lot of your portfolio, and I'll describe what that means in a moment, according to your tax allocation preference. And I'm going to talk about some tax terms, assuming your audience knows about them, and you tell me if I should go into more depth. So the tax allocation strategies that are most common are things like FIFO, FIFO, and LIFO, LIFO, first in, first out, last in, first out. And by default, that's oftentimes how people manage the sale of their assets to report taxes at the end of the year. But there's other ways to do it too. And you can choose the purchase lot that would maximize your profit, which would be maximizing your tax gain, or minimizing your profit, which potentially could be reducing your tax obligation at the end of the year. But you can also specifically identify at the time of the sale of the crypto, you can specifically identify which purchase lot you are selling and record it, and do that in a way that carries through to the end of the year. You can specifically identify the purchase lot that you're selling. And with our debit card, our system, our tax optimization system, takes into account at a pretty fundamental level the way your taxes are calculated, taking into account your carry forward losses, short and long term, your ordinary income discount, and we'll select the tax lot that'll give you as close as possible, as much as possible, an optimal tax outcome, i.e. lower taxes. And for example, for an account for a client that's consistently buying crypto because of crypto's volatility, as they're continually buying crypto, they're going to have winners and losers for their purchases, as they, unfortunately but unavoidably, they might buy some amount of crypto at a market top, and now the market's pulled back a bit, so you have a capital loss. And with our system, as you buy, for example, a cup of coffee, we'll select a portion of the tax lot with a capital gain and a portion with a capital loss that'll match off, so the net effect of your taxes would be zero. And effectively, it's like you're spending dollars. And I mentioned this to you before when we spoke, that this focus on tax law and tax accounting, nobody knows better than me that this is deadly dull stuff. This is dull. This is not sexy.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say too, like, it's good for you to explain it to us, definitely, like, in depth, and any I can put up definitions too for things that I feel like might be missing, so you can continue on. As long as the user understands that basically you guys are tracking and helping record all the information that they would need for their taxes. So it's like you can functionally use your crypto debit card without worrying at the end of the year what's going to happen within your taxes. So I guess the first question I would ask you is how does that work in regards to recording? Is it on a blockchain, or do you guys like have an app where it's recorded, or like how at the end of the year will people be able to collect all this tax information?
It's not on a blockchain. It's to be developed, frankly, because like I said, we're in the product development stage and we're mapping out the functionality.
Yeah.
The indication is that it's non-trivial arithmetic, and it's an ambitious project, but it's achievable, and we're well on the way to finalizing the product and building this thing and making it available. The basic idea for the product that is under development right now with our firm, it's a debit card, and it's linked to a client's account or wallet they would have with our firm. They'll open up an account with us the way they would with Coinbase or Kraken. The original type of client that we had in mind when we proposed this and when we're building, and for whom we're building this, is a client that's pretty comfortable with self-custody. So most of their crypto is self-custody. They hold it themselves, but they have a wallet with us, and it's like I said, just like any other exchange wallet. And on a monthly basis, let's say, they'll transfer over the crypto that they want to spend. And that's in what we call the spending wallet. Now, they'll take their debit card or their mobile app, and they'll buy a cup of coffee. Now, the debit card is going to be on traditional payment networks such as Visa or MasterCard. And when they present the card or the mobile app to the merchant, they'll scan it into the machine, and we'll get the transaction request through the Visa or MasterCard network, through the issuing bank, which is a traditional finance term that is involved in debit and credit card payments. And then that transaction request will come to our system. And we'll do a mark-to-market valuation of the value of the crypto in the client's debit, in their spending wallet. If the value of the crypto is greater than the transaction amount, a couple of things will happen. First thing will happen is we'll send a message back to approve the request, and the merchant will see that. Cashier machine will beep a nice little up note, and the client will get their cup of coffee. The next thing that'll happen is that we'll turn around on the other side of this, and we'll immediately sell the crypto to a market maker counterparty or to our own exchange account. And that crypto will settle in USD within 24 hours. The third thing that we'll do is that we'll select the tax lot from the available tax lots that are in the spending wallet, and they'll be recorded in our internal database. And it'll be available for the client to view and to download at any point thereafter, leading up to the end of the year when they have to file their tax returns. And they'll see what the current tax situation is, what their tax obligation is, carry forwards, the ordinary interest discount, and so forth. And that'll all be available to them via the mobile app and the web app logged in accounts. Now the merchant still needs to get paid. So once the crypto transaction settles at the end of the day, this client's transaction and all the other clients' transactions will settle into our corporate account with our issuing bank, which sponsors our debit cards. And on a periodic batch basis, and now this is TradFi, this is US dollar only transactions, the issuing bank will transfer those funds to the various acquiring banks that they have relationships with. And the acquiring bank is where the coffee shop owner has their bank account, and they'll see the payment at the end of the day that will tick and tie to each cup of coffee that they sold. Now, one thing that's kind of special about this is that the client with our debit card does not need to have any dollars to do this transaction. The client doesn't need any dollars. They're free from fiat, hence the name Freedom from Fiat, hence 3F payments. And in summary, like I was saying before about my conversations with my coworkers at Kraken, this is the kind of product that I wish already existed. And my corporate journey here as an entrepreneur, which is a work in progress, but it's pretty much because this product doesn't exist. So I'm going to see if I can build it.
I love that. Yeah. And honestly, like I said, I know you said that there are competitors for crypto debit cards, but really I haven't heard much about this. Like this industry in the crypto space and overall in the crypto industry, there's not many people that I have even like spoken to or discovered on LinkedIn. So like this is still a very small, like specific niche, but can impact and benefit a lot of people in the crypto space. And like we always talk about how Bitcoin is like digital gold, it's a store of value. But really, this is like an opportunity for other cryptocurrencies to become somewhat of like digital cash. So this is like the next scale up from digital gold to actually trying to achieve crypto as digital cash. So of course, it's extremely complex for some people to like wrap their head around this. But the reason why I had initially butt in for clarity is because basically, you know, people that have crypto can now use their crypto with their crypto debit card to be purchasing everyday online items or like your local coffee, regular everyday purchases that you would usually use fiat with. So, and your company is doing all the back work in recording taxes and doing the conversions from, depending on where the crypto market is and what the market fluctuations and prices are. So you're doing all the background work for the common user to be able to just tap their card and pay in crypto, and also have the relief with all of their taxes.
Right. Another way to describe it, just in line with what you just said, there's plenty of crypto debit cards. Most of them are stablecoin cards, frankly, which kind of avoid the question or avoid the issue with taxes, because a stablecoin is effectively a fiat currency in terms of the capital gains. But even the debit cards that let you spend risk crypto, and that's just my term for crypto that's not stablecoin, it's a crypto that has a variable exchange rate versus fiat currency. They don't really pay attention to the taxes. They give integration to, and this is another topic worth mentioning, they give integration to crypto-focused tax management firms. And there's a number of those. And these are firms like CoinLedger or CoinTracker or Coinly, and they've been around for a couple of years. And they focus on the end of the year taxes. They focus on once you've done whatever you've done throughout the year, give us all your data. Let us take a peek at your wallets and your exchange accounts. We'll download it all, and we'll tell you what you owe. So what the Freedom from Fiat debit card is those two types of businesses joining up and meshing together. And rather than wait to the end of the year to figure out what your taxes are, and it is what it is, and maybe better luck next time, better luck next year, we'll let you optimize along the way. I guess I could talk a little bit about why people would want to use this card. And the obvious reason is to minimize your taxes. Going beyond that, though, and it touches on some things you were talking about, it touches on the definition of what money is. And in the classic definition, money is a store of value, it's a unit of account, and it's a means of exchange. And right now, crypto is a store of value. Whatever $3 or $4 trillion of market capitalization are pretty clear that it's a store of value. It's quite volatile and the future is uncertain, but the value is demonstrable. It's not really a means of exchange for the reasons we talked about. And as a result, it's not, doesn't meet all the definitions of money. If we want crypto to achieve its ultimate value, and we feel, I think most people listening to this podcast certainly feel its ultimate value is more than where it's at now. I don't quite know where, but I suggest, and I'm out of my depth because I'm not an academic, but my intuition is that once crypto is a store of value, which it is, and once it becomes a means of exchange, and I think pretty much it'll be a unit of account de facto once it achieves those other two milestones, it'll be pretty close to its ultimate value. So if you have a strong belief that crypto is better for you and better for everybody, this is the kind of product that you'd want to use to help it achieve that ultimate goal, help Bitcoin get to its ultimate value, whatever it is, when the volatility, I would think, would be much, much less. And it's just the money in your wallet that you use to store the value that you accumulate from your hard work and other endeavors, and put it to work to live your life.
And so which cryptocurrencies do you guys offer, like for the crypto debit card? Is it like any and all? Or I know there's like a ton of altcoins. So it's like, do you guys cap it at specific coins or?
We're going to start with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and Ripple as the initial pilot program. And to be clear, we're in product development. We're pre-seed. So I'm talking about this here to make an announcement and share it with the world and generate some interest and see what comes of that. We don't have the product ready to go. We're building a prototype right now, and we have to set up relationships with issuing banks and venture capitalists to get a little money to really build this thing for real. So if any venture capitalists are out there
listening,
I'm all ears. I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, and honestly, Jon, I like, that's why I had you on the podcast. I love the idea. I love the concept. I don't know anybody else that's doing it. I think you're truly solving a problem in the crypto space that's going to help us evolve to reach our ultimate potential with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Solana, all these great inventions. And I think your idea is a great invention. And there's not many people out there doing what you're doing, as I've already previously said. So it's like, anything that we can do to help promote this idea and get you out there, absolutely.
Yeah, and to answer your question in a little more detail, those five that I mentioned are the blue chip cryptos. Maybe you can quibble on the others as well, but those are cryptos that aren't going to disappear tomorrow. And when you get deep into the plumbing of how debit card transactions work, there's some edge cases where you'll swipe your card. A lot of times at hotels, this is the case. And the hotel will sit on it for a couple of weeks as a pending transaction, a couple of days, maybe a week, but I think it's 30 days. They have the option to leave it as pending. And during that time, the client portfolio is at risk. So if the crypto is too volatile, there's a credit situation that we have to be careful of. So to minimize that risk, we're limiting it to the blue chip cryptos that aren't going to disappear tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really good idea because there are so many altcoins that are here today, gone tomorrow. Why
Right.
not have, and also a lot of like, even myself, like I'm holding crypto, but I'm only holding those very coins that I think have the most value and the most long-term value. So I think that approach is 100% correct and the best one, like just to steer away from the volatility issues too that crypto presents that we're constantly trying to solve. So do you want to talk about like who your ideal client would be and who you would be looking for this crypto debit card?
The original ideal client is what we call the crypto 100%er.
Right, yes.
Who's comfortable with basically all of their wealth in crypto. They're all in. They're comfortable with the volatility, and they think crypto is the future, and any other investment allocation is subpar. So for that person, they want nothing to do with fiat. So anything to let them not have to hold dollars, let them have to have a bank account, it would be appealing. Plus, presumably they're going to be continuing to acquire crypto. So for, again, reasons I said before, they're going to have winners and losers. And the more winners and losers you have, the more you can take advantage of the tax neutrality functions that let us pair off winners and losers to make a given crypto sale tax-free. Now there's what we call crypto dabblers, and that's probably the majority of the people in the world right now who own crypto. But they've heard about it, they don't know too much about it. It's interesting. They'll buy meme coins. Less than 10% of their wealth is in crypto, and they acquired recently. So they'll have ups and they'll have winners and losers. Probably more losers than winners, just based on the general rule of retail investing. The retail investor, such as a crypto dabbler, as we're calling it, at least in the short term, ends up losing. They're probably not the best client because they're not going to be giving up dollars anytime soon.
Right.
So it's a tougher sell unless they get religion and drink the Kool-Aid for crypto. And the idea of supporting a product that will let crypto reach its ultimate value is appealing to them, and God bless them. And in that sense, they're almost more in the crypto 100%er group without 100% of their wealth in crypto.
Right.
Then there's a group, the crypto millionaires. So these are people who've been in crypto for a while, and they're doing okay with it. And they have a lot of winners and losers still, and they have a strong incentive to minimize taxes. We think that's a good group to be in. That's going to be frankly a bigger group than the crypto 100%ers. And then finally, there's a very notorious group, the crypto centimillionaire, crypto billionaires, the people who have really made a lot of money. We don't think they're going to be that interested, because those people who are sitting on Bitcoin that they bought at $10 or what have you per coin, they made a lot of money. Good for them. But they have opportunities to monetize their crypto without selling it. That there's a lot of OTC desks and lending desks that will give them favorable loans to monetize, where they don't have to realize those capital gains. Perhaps the crypto millionaires don't have. The crypto millionaires want to make sure that they're not blowing themselves up with taxes as they sell what's in their portfolio.
Right. And honestly, I was going to ask you, like, what is your approach towards people that don't want to sell their crypto? Like if we're in such a high time right now where the crypto market may appreciate and people want to hold, what do you think, how do you think that might impact your business? Do you think it's going to impact your business, or what's your thoughts on that?
To anybody who doesn't want to sell the crypto, I would ask them, how are you buying a cup of coffee, or how are you paying your rent? And why would you want to hold fiat currency? Why wouldn't you want that fiat currency, the money in your bank account? Why wouldn't you want that in crypto? So you'll have an incremental gain from whatever you're otherwise holding in dollars. And you'll sell some of it to live, right? But I think it makes more sense to do away with the dollars if you have the conviction that crypto's going up and inflation isn't going down. It's not going away. So long term, I think you'd be better off stepping away from fiat currency.
So we've, I worked at the bank right out of college, and there's always conversation about having your money in your savings account. And that's just, with inflation, you're not helping yourself increase your wealth by leaving your money in your savings account. And that's a very well-known statement by many people that have told me that originally. And we actually preached that to people at the bank when I worked at the bank. So in a way, yeah, you're saying that moving your money towards crypto and believing in it and helping it reach its ultimate potential in the long run is actually helping yourself increase your own financial prosperity. So I think that's good, because that's probably going to be one of the most interesting selling points to people that are like, no, I'm not, I can't sell my crypto. Teaching them why they should get involved in this opportunity. I think that was a good way to answer, and best strategy to show them and teach them.
Yeah, and now's a perfect time to give the financial disclaimer that I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a tax expert, although I've been learning a lot about it as part of this venture and this project. So I can't endorse what anyone should do in their personal portfolios. But assuming a given person, a potential client, one of your viewers, has a firm conviction, a clear idea, this is what I would say. You say you don't want to sell crypto. Well, why don't you want to buy more crypto? Whatever USD bank account balance that you got, why are you leaving it in USD? Yeah, you don't want to sell your crypto, but therefore you should buy more, and we can make that possible and work for you with our product.
So I know in this presentation you have a business model. So I think, unless you have anything else to say regarding, I think it would be interesting to show people how you guys benefit from this journey and like how the actual business model functions. And before you go into that, the reason why I think this is really important is because on the podcast, we always talk about, investing in a native token of a company. And before you do, looking into the background of the business in crypto and seeing how their business model functions. So I think absolutely, if as long as you're ready and you didn't want to touch upon anything else beforehand, I would love to hear kind of how 3F Payments benefits as a business model.
3F Payments is right at the intersection between the crypto world and traditional finance. So we don't have the utility token. We don't have anything from that part of the crypto world in our business plan.
That's good.
Right. We get paid through the traditional finance payment rails, the way any debit card would generate fees, that the merchant pays some small percentage of the purchase amount to the issuing bank and the payment rails and Visa and MasterCard. And then we negotiate with our issuing bank to get a piece of that. And it's on the order of less than 2%. In our financial plans, we're looking at approximately 0.25% of total transaction amounts.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So, and I don't know if you've heard about this. I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, but like Visa is looking into blockchain technology for all their transactions now, because I think right now they process like 60,000 transactions per second, and they're looking into Solana's blockchain right now to be able to maximize that like 10x, 100x as they grow in clients. So working with a company like Visa, you're already going to be in a favorable position because they're looking into blockchain to better their own systems. So they're crypto, I would say crypto friendly. So, to be able to work with a company like that, you're coming in at a perfect time because there's so many companies that shut that door years ago, especially under the other administration, and crypto wasn't as favorable. So to be trying to work with these companies now and doing what you're doing is great. And so basically, just to clarify, for transactions, are you just receiving a fee from every single transaction?
Yes.
Perfect. And that is like a safe way to generate revenue. That makes perfect sense. The bank generates fees. This is something that people can understand. So and how your business is going to thrive while they're entrusting in you to have it thrive. So
Right.
Love that. Is there anything else you wanted to share in that, or?
No, not really. Like I said, this is where we step into traditional finance, and the product requirements, the way the product has to work is that from coffee shop owner's point of view, this is just another card. And to be clear, this is a debit card.
Right.
And a debit card is not a credit card. We're not fronting any money for this purchase that has to get paid back, and there's no interest charges that pop up if you don't make your monthly payment. This is a direct debit, a direct deduction from your spending wallet, the client's spending wallet, with us. And if you don't have the money there, that cup of coffee will get rejected at the coffee shop.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And this is perfect because it's defeating the chance of fraud or illegitimacies happening, which is such a massive issue in the crypto space, which is actually the whole like reason why I have this podcast, is to talk about scams and fraud and illegitimacies that happen. So the fact that, nobody will be able to purchase something in crypto unless it is like completely verified by your company. So there's no chance for counterfeit or duplication or any of these like errors that could occur in the system. And I know obviously this is just an idea for you guys and you'll have to dive into these topics like clearly. In regards to marketing and getting this business idea started, I know you have a slide for marketing and I'll put it up on the screen right now. What are your goals in regards to when the business starts and what you guys are looking to achieve maybe in year one?
Okay, so regarding marketing, I'm not a marketing guy. So this is part of my entrepreneurial journey to get out of my comfort zone. The current marketing plan is to launch in the US, and that's because it is a big part of our business plan has to do with the minutiae and the details of the tax law. And the US is challenging enough. So we're going to start in the US and see where it takes us. Moreover, we're only going to be launching in a few states, the largest states, the most crypto-friendly states, because in addition to marketing, there's also the compliance aspect. And there's some very strict rules on money transfer firms, and we're obviously a money transfer firm. So we need to get money transfer licenses, which is a state level certification. So we're looking to start in California, Georgia, Florida, New York, New Jersey, where I live, and Ohio, where I was born, Cleveland, Ohio. I like to say that Cleveland, Ohio is to a city the way New Jersey is to a state.
Mm.
They both kind of take it on the chin in terms of public perception.
I was
But
gonna say no Massachusetts because that's where I'm from, but I don't know. Is crypto not huge in Massachusetts? I don't know.
not compared to these other states in
Wow.
terms of number of crypto holders and revenue. A little bit of this information comes from my time at Kraken. These are the states that were the biggest states.
No, it's good to know. We've never talked about that on the show, so that's good news.
Yeah, in addition to Wyoming, obviously Wyoming, not too many people live there, but it's a very, very friendly crypto state. So that's where we plan to launch initially. In the spirit of agile software development, we're going to iterate, and we'll have a modest launch with modest marketing dollars, and we'll see what comes of it. High probability we'll making adjustments, be making changes to our product offering. I didn't really talk about cash reward programs in terms of our debit card. It's not really part of the underlying theme of it. We're pretty certain we'll have to offer something that just seems to be table stakes in the debit card business. So at some point we'll be figuring out what a rewards program looks like for us, absorbing those lessons, updating our platform, updating our product, and then a much bigger launch, spending as much money as needed, as much money as we have available to devote to marketing, because it is a mass appeal product. This is a retail product, and there's no getting around spending money to acquire customers.
I know you have you have a partner on your team.
Right, my partner Ron, the engineer, he's also a former Krakenite. He comes from a long career in traditional finance. Worked as a quant for a while. He actually has a PhD in physics, so he's a lot smarter than me, frankly.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
It's true. It's true. So he and I are pretty good partners as we try and build this thing.
That's awesome. And to anybody that's listening, like I said, I'll have all the resources listed below. I think I've asked pretty decent questions in regard. I mean, it's a fairly simple concept for because everybody uses a debit card, you know, so it's just really understanding the crypto fundamentals in that. And I think you did a great job explaining. So I'll have all your resources down below at the end of the podcast. If anybody's looking to contact you, I will touch base to make sure that all the correct contact information's there. Do you have a website for the idea? I think you do.
Yeah, we do. Freedomfromfiat.com.
Perfect. Yes. And then you also have a survey, correct?
Yes, we're going to get it as a link on the website. We didn't put a link out because we didn't want to get spammed, but that's coming. The only thing I would say is quite explicit. I gave a lot of detail in what our idea is. It's really not that complicated. Like I said, it's a mashup of two ideas that are already out there to fill a need that's not being met. I've heard before, to the question of protecting your intellectual property and not letting somebody steal your idea, I've heard a good advice is just try and get someone interested enough to steal your idea and see how hard that is. So don't worry about that. You need to bang the pavement. You need to knock on doors. You need to generate interest more than be paranoid about somebody stealing your idea. The hard part, as someone, who was it? What's the name of that guy? Mark Zuckerberg, right? Yeah.
Yes, him.
The hard part isn't the idea, it's the actual execution. So that's the challenge before us, that we're trying to execute this now.
It's true. And you know, like I appreciate you saying that so much, because I actually have a business idea in the crypto space too. And my idea is pretty simple. It's just crypto education, but also nobody knows your idea like you do. Nobody has these, like the evolution of your idea like you do. So it's like, even though people may have your idea, you're right. You're a pioneer in this. You've been operating and thinking through this idea for longer than somebody that you're going to spark that idea in. So definitely, like, no matter who's doing what, always focus on your own dream and your own idea, and know that as long as you're solving a problem that's really needed and you believe in your idea, it will be successful. So, John, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show. If anybody has any questions, they can comment directly below on Spotify, and I will see you guys next Monday on Cryptic Humility. Again, John, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.